Hello, in this video, I am going to show you how to do a 2D project. In this specific video, we're going to explore the Unity Hub, talk about all the different parts of the Unity Hub, then how to install different versions of Unity into your hub, how to start a new project, and then explore the user interface. So after you've gone to unity.com and downloaded Unity by using your email address and then creating a personal license, you're going to see the Unity Hub. This is what the interface looks like. And we'll start up here. You'll have Get Set Up, and you'll have all these different options in here. So we're going to kind of skip over this, and I'm going to go down through the next sections one by one and explain what you'll see. So over here on the left-hand side, we go to Projects, and you'll see here that I have a bunch of different projects. If you're opening this for the first time, of course, this will be empty. There's a note here next to some of mine. You'll see that I have these warning signs right here that said this is an outdated version that's had security issues. Now, I could use this one. It's really only for games that have been published up into like Google Play or the Apple Store, right, that have been known to be hacked into these games. So if we're just building on them, if you have something like this, it's fine, you can use this. The other alternative is to switch it over to something very similar that you'll find in the Install Hub. So you'll see that if I click on it, I've got an alternate here of another 6.0 that I could use instead. So I can open it with this one. So if I want to open it again, I'll switch over and open it with the new one. Now, if my space is empty here, that's great too, because we're going to be opening a 2D project here in a few minutes. But first, we need to make sure that we have some Unity versions installed. Now, when you get here, if you're opening it for the first time, you will have nothing here, which is okay. We need to download a couple of different versions. So you go over here to the upper right, and you're going to click on the Install Editor. What this is the versions that are currently available in Unity that you can download right now. These I recommend to you that you download would be the Unity 2022.3, and you'll see here that there's a little LTS, which means long-term support. This means that Unity is planning on keeping this around for a long time and supporting any problems that come up on their tech team. If, like this brand new 6.4, you see it doesn't have LTS, and even though it's recommended, I'm not going to download it because I want to have the long-term support. So I have downloaded, and I would like you to download for your first 2D game, 2022.3 LTS. And then you can also download if you want, and I recommend the 6.0 or 6.3 LTS. You'll either see, if you're on a Mac, it'll say silicone, or if you're on a PC, you'll have the other version, it won't say silicone. Okay, so go ahead and install those. You can see I've installed mine already. So I'm going to close this. And you can see here in my install tab that I have these two versions, 2022.3 and 6.3. There's benefits to both of these. Especially the one we're going to be using, 2022.3, because it's a well-known stable build. Okay, so next we have this tab called Learn. If we click on this, it gives us all of these kind of guides that you can go to, like Unity Learn, which you get for free. You can go to that and do your lessons all by yourself. And you have just anything like this that you want to click on just to learn how to do it. So if you, for example, want to start learning how to do a game jam, you could go here and do that. If you want to start learning about code, you can do this. And you can follow along and download their program and do a self-paced learning. Resources is highly important for us because we are going to use the asset store, which is in here quite a bit, this Unity asset store. We're going to do this to bring down things into our game that are already pre-made so we don't have to make them. Okay. And here is the pro training, which you can get with a license. It costs some money. So the Unity Learn is perfectly fine because it's really good until you're like an advanced person. Okay. And then here's the licenses. Now I'm just using a personal license, which is fine. You can see I activated it on this date. If you don't have one here, you're going to add a license and create a personal license. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. And it's just for Unity to understand like who's using their projects. And if for some reason you make a game that you make a lot of money on, they'll know, okay, you need to be able to start paying for this after you make like a 500,000 dirhams, for example. Okay. So this is basically the Unity Hub, and this is where we start and enter all of our projects. I'm going to go back to projects, and I'm going to create a new project. So I'll click on this button up here on the upper right. It says new projects. If I wanted to add something which is already on my hard drive, which isn't in my hub. For example, if I save this new project onto an external drive and want to use it on another computer, I would take that external drive and add it from my external drive, okay? But right now we're going to start with a new project here. So I'm going to click on that, and you're going to see this kind of thing pop up. Now, we have a couple of things that we need to choose first and pay attention to. Number one is our editing version. So these are the two versions that we've downloaded, 2022.3 and 6.0.3. We're going to use for our first 2D game because we're going to be downloading some things from the asset store that work really well with 2022.3. We're going to be using that one. So you need to make sure you select this one first. And this will give you then all these different templates that we can choose from. Now, for a 2D game, we want to use a 2D template. We don't have to. We could use a 3D template, but 2D it's already kind of set up for us. So that's kind of nice. So let's look and see what we have here. We have universal 3D sample, high definition. High definition is used for high-end consoles. Universal is for mid-length, can be used on both like mobile or PC. Okay, here we have universal 2D and core. And this is actually what we want to be doing here, is using this universal 2D core. So I'm going to use this one. I'm going to click on universal 2D core. And I'm still in 2022.3. And over here, if you haven't ever used it before, it might say download template. So you download the template. Now, if it's asking you for an organization, you can create an organization or leave it blank. Okay. You do not need to use Unity version control because that's for a paid service, like to store things in the cloud. Okay. And here we have our project name. So I'm going to name this project 2D Game Spring 2026. So I know what it is. And then I'll click somewhere else. And then here, location is super important. So you need to know where you're saving things so that if you ever want to get rid of the older files or you want to save it to an external drive, you can do it right here. So make sure these are both very important things that you fill in, okay? And then you hit Create Project. Now this is going to take a minute, and you'll see now on my project list, it automatically goes back to my project folder here on my hub. It is building this. Now, it's going to take a few seconds to load. So I'm going to skip ahead after it loads once it opens, so we don't have to take a lot of time just waiting right here in the recording. Okay, so my scene has opened up. My project has opened up, and this is what I see here. So I have a couple of different panels that I can move around here, and we've opened up into a scene. So I can use my mouse, which you really should have a 3-button mouse to work with this. It makes it much easier for you to get around. I'm going to explain to you what this user interface is, and then how we start with a background, and we'll move on from there. Okay, so first of all, we have a left-hand panel here. It's called a hierarchy. You can see it's labeled right up here, hierarchy. This is where it stores all what we call game objects. That's anything that's inside of your scene view will be stored as a game object. You're going to be working with this a lot, so you'll get used to it fairly quickly. All game objects, if you click on one like your camera, have a lot of information that go with them over here in the right side called the inspector. So basically, these, when you click on these in the inspector, these are properties of your game object. So you can see my camera is here. This is what my camera is seeing. I have a light and a camera. So my camera here, and it tells me the size of my camera. I can increase it, decrease it. There's a lot of things that we can do over here with each of our game objects. And that's what is called in the inspector. Remember that these are just information about each game object. Okay, so next we look here, we hit the scene object, and this is where we're going to be building our game in the scene object. Then I see in the scene view, scene window. Then we have the game window, and this is where you're going to see what you would see if you were playing the game. Right now we only have a blank canvas here because, as you can see on my camera, all it has is a background blue solid color. All right, so but as we build, we'll be seeing this um, build up, and you'll see your game here, and you can actually play your game as you go along. Click back over into the scene view for now. Next, we have the project files. Now, this is basically a direct link to all of the project files that have just been opened down and saved onto either your hard drive or your external drive, wherever you've decided to save it. So all of these are part of your project, and it's like a shortcut to your hard drive. It's very important that you keep this very organized because you could get very lost in this very quickly. So right now, I'm on a sample scene inside of here. So if I go into scenes, this is my sample scene, which is right where I am here under my assets. Assets are anything within a game. Okay. So I want to actually change the name of my sample scene. I'm going to change it to my 2D game and hit enter. And you can see the name changed up here on the left in my hierarchy. So that's under my scenes. Another great thing that you can do is if you click on assets, and you can see it over here in this, this is like a larger view of whatever's inside each of these folders here in your project folder, is that I can actually change this. Instead of saying scenes, maybe I want it to say my name. So I always know where my files are in this project. So if I open this up, then I have my 2D game here. I can even create a new folder in here by right-clicking and saying create folder. And in here, I can change this to say my scenes. So Stacey's scenes. And I can move my scene into my folder. So you can see that these are stacked one on top of the other in here and very well organized for you, but you have to keep them organized as you go along. So this is one of the most important places not to get lost, to make sure you label everything well so you can find it all again. Okay, so now we've covered the basic user interface. We still have an upper toolbar here that we can use to find anything else. This is where you can create a new scene, open a scene, save, which is very important to always save, constantly save as you're working, so that in case you have any problems, you've saved it. You have an editing panel, okay, which you can undo history. I'm going to give you shortcuts for a lot of these things, but this is just give you an idea of how to get around here. Remember, assets are anything that are in your game, okay? Game object, those are everything that's in your hierarchy. And components, these are things that are uh, the properties of your objects. So, right, they would be over on the right-hand side in your inspector. These are these things that would be over here in the inspector. And these are for builds, right? For building out your game. If you wanted to do something with a job here. This is very important. I'm going to show this with you. In order to get if you get lost and move, like these could be moved anywhere around. Let's say you open one up and you can't get it back to the way that you wanted it before. If you go to your window and you go to layout, then you can go to, let's see, where is my default layout right here? And it will just take you right back to the default where you started before. Okay? So we're in this and it knows exactly where we are here inside of my scenes. Perfect. Okay. So there you have it. This is how you open your new 2D game project. In the next video, I'm going to go into starting to put in backgrounds, what are sprites, and okay, this is the next chapter on how we're going to start our 2D game. There's a couple of things that we need to do first before we start our game. We need to import our scripts from a package manager on the asset store. Now remember, we can get to the asset store through the Unity hub. If I go back to the hub and go into uh, resources here, and I can click Unity Asset Store here. I can search for Unity Asset Store in my any kind of like Google Chrome or Firefox. I like to use Firefox, but anything like that, you can search that. This is where you can download all kinds of things into your game. We're going to download one thing, and that's called Unity Playground. I'm going to do a search for it. My internet's a little slow today. What can be done? It's the weather. Slowly, slowly. Okay, so now it's searched for this. And here it is right here. We have Unity Learn Playground. I'm going to click on this one. You can see that it's this green looking photo here and with a little puzzle piece. We're going to be downloading this into our project. Okay, so now that it's here, we have a couple things we can look at this. We want to look at its compatibility. We're using 2022.3. 2022.2 is very close to it. So basically, it's saying it is compatible. We are using the Unity render pipeline. And if you're using 6.0, it's also compatible here. I know for sure that it works great with 2022.3. So that's why I wanted to do it in this one. So I'm going to add this to my assets. And I'll give it a second. It should have already signed me in, but I don't know why it's not. It should automatically sign you in from your hub, but if it didn't, that's okay. You can just sign in again anyways. So now I've added it to my assets and it's going to say open in Unity, and that's what I want it to do. So I'm going to say open in Unity, and I'm going to say yes. I'm going to open this link. And it automatically opened this thing here called a package manager. And in this, it manages all of the things that I want to download into my project. Well, you'll see here that under Unity Learn Playground, it's saying, do you want to import it? And I do. I want to import it into my project. And it says a complete project will overwrite this. This is okay because it's brand new. And we want to import. And yes, we want to install upgrade because it was set for 2021. We want to have it be 2022.3. And Unity understands this and automatically fixes it. Okay, right on this thing, this is all the things that it's importing. It's telling us if we've already downloaded parts of it or we're going to be doing it all for the first time. As you can see, everything here is new. We've got a lot of images in here. And these represent scripts. We've got a lot of scripts, which we're going to be using. And I'm going to say, yep, that's great. Next. This is for other things that have already been imported into my project, and it's okay that they're overriding. I'm going to go ahead and say import. And now you can see in my package manager that it is all loaded in. Now it says packages in project here. So if I hit this little drop down bar, these are my assets that I've downloaded from the Unity store, the Unity Asset Store. These are the ones that are built into my project. These are the ones that Unity gives you automatically that you can download automatically. If I open this up wide, it might be a little bit easier to see. Just so I can explain the package manager. So these are all things that you can import into your project. If there's a check mark next to them where it says Unity Registry, that means that they're already downloaded into your project. If there's a little arrow like this, that means you can upgrade it. Now, I don't need to upgrade this because I'm not using AI navigation in this game. But all of these things that have a check mark are already downloaded into my project. So you can see it in my project. As you see, all these things are in my project. You can see with these little up arrows that I can put in new, upgrade these. I'm not going to be using any text in this, but if you are, you can update that. You can always update this one. It's always good to update if you can. You can just say update and just start updating any of the things you need. Visual scripting you won't need because that's for coding. And unless you're planning on coding your own game, you won't need this. The reason we're downloading Unity Playground is so we don't have to do any coding on our own. This is for artists. Okay. All right, so now we can close the package manager and go back to our scene. And this is just a warning, like an older version because I just upgraded it, so that's okay. And it goes away, you see, right when I click on it. So now we have this new thing in here called Unity Technologies Playground right here. And in here are examples of games that they've given us. All right, so let's start with a background. Let's go into the playground store here, and we go down under images, background, and you'll find a variety of backgrounds. I'm going to go ahead and drag in one just so you can see into my scene view. And I have a variety of toolbars here on the left. This one is for moving it. You see the arrows. I can move it up and down, right and left. Like this blue box, if I click in here, I can move it in any direction. This one is rotate. I can turn it upside down if I want to. Command or Control Z takes you back one step. It's a shortcut. This scales up or down or to the left or right. I can stretch it. Control Z. I can raise it. Control Z. I can click on this white square here and just drag my mouse up or down to resize uniformly. So I want it to be bigger than my camera outline. Okay. And you can see right here, it's this one over here. And if I click on it, this is all the information about this background. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see a thing called visibility options. Whenever you do a background, it's best that you call it background or leave it on 0 default layer, which is fine. You can leave it on 0 default layer. It's furthest back from the camera. So now that you've gotten started here, you can start adding in sprites yourself. Any image in a 2D game is called a sprite. And I will go into that into the next video when we talk all about sprites and game objects.